What's up, team? Coach Collin here. Happy Workplace Wednesday, Limitless Live. So excited to bring some value today. We're taking mindset training to the masses. You don't need to be sick to get better. I can't wait to talk to one of my dear friends, co-presenters, fellow room tilter, Joanna Lohman, aka Jolo, and part of the women's national team. You've kind of been busy these last few weeks. Give us some updates.
I scored a big goal, Colin. I scored a big goal in a tournament where we were the only women's team. There were 32 teams. We were the only women's team. And it was for $1 million purse for the winner. So I'm talking highly competitive, high quality, either professional or ex-professional male players that we were playing against. Colin, these dudes were huge. Like 6'7", like 200 pounds, posting up on us in front of the goal. So
Wow.
we didn't win many games. We lost all 3 of our games. We only scored 1 goal in the tournament, but your girl was the goal scorer.
You
And
always represent.
the crowd went
You
wild.
always
The crowd
represent.
absolutely
I
wild.
love it. Well, I was going wild. I go wild just when I see your face. So I'm happy to be
Oh,
talking today. Let's get a quick mommy update. Give me
okay, quick
some
one.
some 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 mom updates real quick.
So, tapping into the soccer tournament, little Luna, who's 5 months, got to meet Mia Hamm, who is the first ever female athlete to sign for Nike, Colin, right? She
She
is,
she's she's on that like GOAT list for sure.
yeah, probably the most recognizable face in women's soccer history. And she got to hold little Luna, and I got a picture of the 2 of them. And I think, as you know, the model that we set for our children is the greatest influence in their lives. So for her to be
Mhm.
around such strong, brave, courageous, social justice leaning women was really
Mhm.
important for me, for Luna to have that influence in her life and to know that we can set a model that really takes her into the stars and beyond.
That's so good. I love you bringing your children to work to play,
Yes.
showing them your world. Kids, don't do what we say; they model what we do.
Yeah.
So like showing that environment, being authentic, engaging, and I think modeling that you guys do a lot of fun stuff. This is who you are, but it
Yeah.
doesn't define who you are. So, but
Can I
today
ask
is
you a
work.
question, Colin?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so it's Pride Month, and I was thinking about, I'm Queen Gay. So I was thinking about, yes, my ally, just what pride means. And I wanted to ask you about a moment where you felt proud, whether it be like the last week, if it's involving your kids, or even for yourself or your community, just a moment where you felt proud.
I think I'm most proud. I would say recently the kids just got out of school,
Hmm.
and we have 5 kids. 3 are in school, and at the end of the school year, you kind of have like a kind of a conference with the teachers, and it was unanimous. All of our kids are in school, which is Baylor, Bella, and Winnie. We have a 10-year-old, 9-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 5 and a 4-year-old, but the older 3 are in school. And I was so proud that the word kind came up with
Yeah.
all 3,
Yes.
like kindness, inclusive, support. If someone needs something, they're always, you know, first to serve and help. And we have a motto in our house. It is Henderson's help.
Yeah. I
That
love
is
that.
our that is our family motto, and we've trained our kids. I trained our kids. I asked them a question after school at nighttime doing bedtime and reading. Who'd you help today?
Yeah.
So I'm very proud that you know our kids are really living out that like core value of being
Yes.
kind and like serving. Yeah.
That's operationalizing our values into observable behaviors, my friend, and also setting
Yes.
that model for your kids. And I'm so proud of you, Colin, as their father, clearly instilling that character trait in them.
And I'm also proud that our older we have 4 daughters and a son. Our daughters are were I was just ordering on Target Mobile's the app called Shipped. They're entrepreneurs. They're setting up a lemonade stand to start selling, to start hustling. So I'm also got love for the hustle too. So I'm very proud of that.
Yes, that's so adorable. I wish I could be there to buy some lemonade.
How about you? What are you proud about?
I am. I just this past weekend was Pride weekend in Washington D.C. and I always ride on the most lit float, Colin. Okay, we have a DJ, we had a dance crew next to our float, And I just felt so proud of being part of the queer community and knowing the legislation that is being passed in many states, which trying to limit our freedoms, certain things about drag queens and of that nature. So it just felt really powerful and dignifying to be in their presence and to really, I would say, celebrate something that many feel like should feel like shame. So I was really proud of our community this past weekend.
That's good. That's good. We got to raise awareness, talk about it, have the conversation, celebrate
Yeah.
what we need to celebrate, and which leads us into Workplace Wednesday. And we knew we were going to be teaming up today, and we kind of talked about what would be a good topic today. And because it's Pride Month, it's like let's talk about DEI,
Yeah.
diversity, equity, and inclusion. I wrote down some things like diversity, equity, and inclusion in perspective, experience, insights, representation, background, and ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh Lifrak, who's on, I see him typing in, all of us is stronger than one of us. One of my favorite things. Sometimes you, sometimes me, always us. So having a diversified of ideas and backgrounds,
Yes.
and having the humility. To me, it's about having the humility
Mm-hmm.
to welcome and invite and celebrate all those things.
Yes. I totally agree, Colin. And I think this is where we can divide out what does diversity mean, what does equity mean, what does inclusion mean, and we have a wonderful contextual model that Mari will throw up on the screen in terms of what inclusion looks like in the workplace. Because we can have diversity, which means having individuals from different backgrounds, but if we don't have inclusivity, if we don't have the systems in place that allow that diverse group of people to work together in a productive and effective manner, then the diversity piece isn't really working for us. So I love the way that this model easily allows us to digest what inclusion means between exclusion, segregation, integration. Inclusion is everyone is in that same melting pot, right? And we're all drawing from our own strengths to raise the group to a higher level.
I
Colin, I
love
know
that.
you've worked in organizations, you've worked in teams. For you, what does this look like? How has this manifested itself in real life in some of the great organizations that you've worked for?
Well, you know what? I've learned a great deal being a speaker, talking to the biggest companies in the world, Amazon, Nike, Zillow, Microsoft. And I learned early in my career that, when I present, when I bring ideas, when I share ideas, I want to represent different examples, different colors, different backgrounds,
Mhm.
different shapes, a different lens. So when I have visuals to to share a story. It's not just people who look like me. It's not just sharing sports backgrounds. It's
Yeah.
having awareness of your audience that we receive information and we want to feel like belonging and part of the story, that we're in the
Yeah.
story together. So I just think it's important to me. It's one of my like core values as a presenter, as a coach, is to allow people to feel safe,
Yeah.
to feel heard, to feel loved, to feel part of the team. And I also think this is true. And, we're on the same team. This is a truth. If we always agree, one of us isn't
Mhm.
needed.
Mhm.
If we believe everything and have the same perspective and have the same ideas, like one of us isn't needed. So
Yeah.
I really celebrate and invite and want someone's opinion who's different, who has a different perspective, who has a different take or a different vantage point. Because odds are that other people that have a similar experience that I don't have, that I really want to see. Because
Yeah.
my strength finder, Jolo, number one, I've done it, three different times over 15 years, is a learner. So I
Mm.
really value and celebrate and get joy in learning. And part of that
Yes.
is learning different perspectives.
Absolutely. Learning different perspectives. And I think what you and I are talking about, Colin, is diversity, inclusion. They are a competitive advantage. We're living in a world now where the geographical barriers are eliminated. We're living in a world where we are globalized and we have teammates, we have leaders, we have people we are working for, clients that are all over the globe. And if we can't take a step back, and like Josh said in our conversation prior to this live, is that we don't know what we don't know. And I love quoting you, Colin, of the mind is like a parachute, best used when it's open. So of walking into these scenarios knowing that I don't know what I don't know, and there is so much
Mhm.
I can learn from someone who lives in a completely different circumstance than I do, right? And they can bring different strengths that really lift, right? The tide lifts all boats, where our group gets stronger and more powerful.
Yep, and a great exercise that I actually learned in the school systems. I have curriculum for schools that I partner with other great thought leaders to bring value on wellness, emotionally, mentally. But one educator talked about in this concept of diversity, equity, inclusion. She says, "Who is in your five?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're a byproduct of the five people you spend the most time with, do these five people all look, walk, talk, and act like you?"
Yeah.
It's time to open up and
Mm.
diversify who's in your five to get different perspective, to learn different needs and backgrounds and how they perceive things, because I think we get so stuck in our patterns, our ways of thinking, and we get into these biases. How many biases do we have because we only surround ourselves with people who walk, talk, and act like us? Well, we
Yeah.
need to elevate our awareness, elevate our knowledge, and it makes us better to diversify who we spend time with, to get those like insights, but also to just be well-rounded. If you
Mm-hmm.
lead people, it is so powerful to get people around you that are different.
Yeah.
It's so huge.
I love this whole concept of celebrate and elevate, right? We can celebrate our differences because our differences truly are that superpower, that diversity, and then we can elevate our performance through it. And that's the lens that I try to look on, organizations, leadership, teamwork now, of falling back on the greatest teams I've been a part of. We all had individual strengths that were different from one another. And I think that's something we take from the sports world is we have positions, we have roles, and that allows each one of us to bring our unique strengths in order to make the team more successful and more effective. And I think that's a way we can start breaking this down in the business world and the corporate world, since it is Workplace Wednesday, is what are the that I can bring out of someone else that's next to me, right? In what ways can their light make me shine brighter instead of feeling like someone else's life makes you dim, right?
Hmm. I do like that. So I would like to think, what can we offer the audience to
Yeah.
raise awareness in this? Like, how can we take some ownership here and be a voice for change? And our goal at the Limitless Minds is to normalize mindset training.
Mm-hmm.
Taking stuff from like Trevor and Russell from the sports world to the business world. So if we can be part of the change to celebrate, what are some things that I can do, we can do now?
Yeah. It's a really great question. And my first thought is listening. I think so very often we want to create a narrative about someone that we're meeting before we meet them. And as human beings, our desire is to label, our desire is to organize and sort. And that comes with its advantages. It also comes with its disadvantages because we tend to want to sort our teammates and our colleagues into certain very neat boxes without even listening to what their story is. So I think part of that is just like really listening and really being able to connect with someone who may not look like you, may not sound like you, may not be the same race or religion or culture or gender. Can we really challenge ourselves to step outside of our own comfort zone and to connect with someone else that we may think I have nothing in common with, right? I think challenge that assertion.
I like that. And I think we do have assumptions. We do label, and unless you seek
Mhm.
to understand and really listen, the most interesting person is the most interested. So
Yeah.
create this interest to understand. And I also would like to challenge everyone. My take is to take some effort and prioritize this in your life and at work. Again, we're
Mhm.
talking about Workplace Wednesday. Do you stay in your own silo? Well, there's
Mhm.
different experiences and levels of people you probably work with. So I would say my challenge would be for each one reach one. You don't need to be best friends with everyone in your organization, but I would challenge you to get to know them. Ask questions like, where are you from? What are your goals? What's most important to you? What are your needs? How can I elevate your performance? What do you need from me? And it couldn't be anybody. But if we just, again, stay in these zones of comfort and not expand, man, people are our superpower.
Mhm.
It's just so important that we do these things.
I love Josh threw up there what you just said. The most interesting person is the most interested. Sean loves to celebrate and elevate. So it's really cool how this is resonating with people in the chat. I agree with you, Colin. I think it has to be a deliberate decision. We have to do things on purpose with purpose. And I hate to break it to people in this that are listening now and are going to listen to this on playback. Like, it's not going to happen without effort. Nothing works unless we do. And so we're going to have to step outside of our respective bubble, of our comfort zone, and try to reach someone who may be a little different than us. And the conversation most likely won't be around work, Colin, because what lights most of us up? It's our personal life. It's when you talk about your kids, the lemonade stand, the hustle. How do we get underneath the layer of this is my job, this is what I do for the day, and who am I as a human being, I think.
Well, I think the conversations that we're trying to have with the organizations is balancing person and performer,
Mm-hmm.
empathy and performance. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're watching this live, watching on the replay, how much of your conversations are on just the performance, just the result, just the
Yeah.
outcome? I think we got to be aware and shift our perspective to the empathy and the person over performer. If we have that lens, and then looking at your team, looking at how we can elevate performance, is you have a diversified group that you work with, collaborate, and assemble.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to improve how we perform.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the organizations that we work with are in sales. So having that as a core value to diversify, have equity, and include people, make people feel part of the team, and celebrate and find strengths,
Yeah.
and really double down on that.
A visual that pops into my brain, actually, Colin, is one that you and I deal with a lot when we work with youth athletes. And it's the me wheel, right? The whole idea of a wheel and the spokes of the wheel. And if we are narrow-minded, if we aren't expanding who we are as humans in what we do, if one of those spokes gets knocked out, if two of those spokes or three of those spokes, we're very fragile, we're brittle. And the same is true about I would say, our diversity wheel. The more spokes that we have connecting us to people that are different from us, the stronger the overall wheel is going to be, right? The faster we're going to rotate, the more the
Yeah.
rubber can hit the road. And if we only have one other, group of people that we really connect with, then we're going to be a very fragile wheel. That's like something that just went through my head.
I love that. Yeah. So one thing I want to kind of think about is, you mentioned it. The brain's like a parachute, only works if it's
Mm-hmm.
open.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think a lot of people, or some people, get in these modes, or it's been conditioned to be closed,
Mm-hmm.
to not be open to change, not be open to something different?
Yeah, it's how our brain is wired. Like we talk about so much at Limitless Minds, the brain's number one priority is survival. And our brain can often view different equals dangerous. As soon as I see someone different from me, a different viewpoint, a different culture, a different race, a different religion, that signals into my brain, this is dangerous. And I've experienced that personally when I walk off the plane in sub-Saharan Africa, which I've been many times. The looks that I get is, whoa, like this person can be a threat. This person can be dangerous. And like Josh said, protection. So I think originally with our survival brains, we take a step away to protect ourselves, as opposed to taking a step towards realizing that this isn't a threat. This is an opportunity for me to learn from someone who is different. What do you think?
I think whenever we need to learn something, just watch children.
Mm-hmm.
A child who's 2, 3, 4 doesn't have these inherent conditioning fears of some of these things. They don't see color. The gender doesn't matter. So just get back to that innocence, and see humans as humans. I get kind of frustrated. We get so stuck into these biases, or we're like, you want to label, or you want to like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this person is going to be like this. And just, instead of just celebrating, man, all of us is stronger than one of us.
Yeah.
And you want to be the type of person that celebrates people. So when you have wins or struggles, they're going to support you and help you. So just having just that perspective lens of, I think of the word love.
Yeah.
And how, I mean, you're a mom now. We have 5 kids. I'm a father of 5. Like, how do we want our kids to be raised?
Yeah.
Do you want our kids to have all these biases and be not open and not love and not forgive and not be curious to understand. Like I just think like if it's not us and it's our role now as adults to train our children to move up through the ranks. And I just haven't seen a world changing leader that's making change for good,
Yeah.
that has just this toxic just blinders. They're not seeing the whole picture.
Right. And in order for us to solve problems, we need a diverse set of solutions. And going back to we don't know what we don't know, there is a set of information that I don't even have access to, Collin, because of who I am, how I was raised, how I was conditioned. And when I bring in someone different from me into the equation, we can solve more problems. We can raise the bar. We can be stronger as a team and more aware. Again, it's a competitive advantage that I don't feel like we're truly accessing necessarily in the business world.
Yeah, and I think true wisdom is learning from everyone.
Yeah.
True wisdom is inviting new ideas and not just fully conforming to what you think. Let's look at the chat. Let's see what kind of comments we got. So I love that Josh says humility is a prerequisite for greatness. I agree with you. So, hey, great visual, Jolo.
Yeah.
And I have to always give love to the Joe Hawk. Every time I see you, I gotta just highlight. We got some
Hey,
swag on the side. There we go. We got a little.
speaking of equality, justice, and inclusion.
Let's go. And then Sean always showing up. Think different. Let's do it together. Celebrate and elevate. I love when things rhyme. The most interesting person is the one who's most interested. And then maybe we can do a live. Maybe we can show up soon, Joe, on person over performer. Sean's interested in that. Never truly satisfied, says Anthony. What's up in Great Britain? You never truly get satisfied by work until you are satisfied by life. And that's it. Great minds don't think alike; they think different. That's so good. But Joel, any last
story,
yeah,
Collin?
yeah, sure.
I want to share a story about in a time in my life where I made an assumption and I was surprised by the result. So I was having dinner with my cousin David, who is a man, and then his wife Annabelle, and they had made homemade bread. Inherently in my brain, I went and I turned and I complimented Annabelle about making this loaf of bread. I just assumed in my brain a woman makes the bread. And my cousin David was like, Joe, I made it. And it was like, it was mind blown, right? So even someone who preaches, women's equity, right? Equal pay, all of this kind of stuff. I was already assuming that the woman made the bread instead of my cousin David, who was and I love that he corrected me. I love that it shifted the way that I think of already coming into a situation, making assumptions. And, really the solution to that is just give space, right? Give space for things to play out as they should and as they will, as opposed for me to forcing an answer onto that situation.
Yeah, and I have a similar experience where I was referencing I have a business coach that's helped me navigate some things to scale up and organize all my content. And my friend was like, "Well, how'd you find him?" I was like, "You mean her, Carrie?"
Yeah.
So we just have these, whether it's doctor, lawyer, you use the wrong pronoun. I don't know. So it's like, well, she's amazing and super successful. So I think we kind of get into these default, we assume and place these labels on what we think, certain titles, certain roles. So I think, again, the mind's like a parachute.
Yeah.
Only works if it's open. So I love this, Lane. On a coaching call yesterday, I shared, I need your different perspective. I need it.
Yeah.
That's great. So we just care about you. We're coming from a place of love today. Like we come from a place of servanthood, of gratitude. I'm grateful to have this position, to be even on this thing, Jolo, with you, and just to have this platform as a group, as an organization. So thank you for everyone who's showing up. And let's just look of that perspective. Really, when I think of diversity, equity, inclusion, it's just being a loving human being. Be a loving human being as a species, that we want to elevate the species. We want to elevate and create safety and challenge in a healthy, productive way. We don't always have to agree. And that's good.
Yeah.
But how we seek to understand, let me know your why, the backstory. Let me get your angle on where this is coming from. There's so much we can learn. And then use that for good.
I love that you say, Collin, language is the wardrobe of your beliefs. So really being mindful when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion is a language that we're using. You just discussed pronouns. Similar with me, I made a mistake. It's when we speak about families, again, we can't make an assumption that it's a heteronormative family. You could have a partner, you could have a wife, a husband, right? And making sure that our language is inclusive in how we speak, because without knowing it unconsciously, we could create exclusive environments just through the way that we're verbalizing thoughts and ideas and making assumptions.
So let's be open, let's be aware, let's have empathy, and let's do this together. So
Yes.
Jello, love you. So good to see you. I can't wait
Love
to
you,
to
Collin.
collab again on the stage soon. But team,
Yes.
thank you for showing up. Hey, maybe have a conversation with your loved ones, kids at work. Hey, are we opening new ideas, new perspectives? Let's do that. As Josh always says, um, all of us is stronger than one of us. Sometimes you, sometimes me, but always us.
Always us.
Yeah. Well, you know what we say every single training, Jolo? The body has limits.
But the mind is limitless. And
Peace.
tomorrow we have Pamela Matson on the show. So we're giving shout outs. Make sure you jump on 12:30 Eastern time as always. Thank you, Collin, for your time and energy today. I'm grateful.
I'm just trying to be like you. I would love to score a goal of some kind and feel good about my, younger athletic self. I'm not doing that much. But hey, I'm playing a basketball tournament next weekend. Let's go.
Hey, there you
See y'all.
go. All right. Bye,
Peace.
everybody.
Bye.